Okey. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera kepada pelajar-pelajar, terutamanya pelajar kuliah A6. Kita ada hari ni ada kelas ya, kelas ganti untuk sempena Hari Raya. Dipercepatkan ya. Jadi saya harap semua pelajar-pelajar kuliah A6 telah pun bersedia, dah bangun ya. Dah bangun ya, pukul 8.30 ni dah bangun. Dah bersedia untuk mengikuti kelas job order costing untuk topik 7. So sebelum kita mulakan untuk tajuk ni, saya jemput saudara Irfan untuk membacakan doa. Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka wa anshur alaina min hazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Okey, kita tengok ni siapalah yang dah bangun kan, kita tengok. Pertama Zulaika Zulkifli. Selamat pagi Cikgu Yati. Okey, selamat pagi. Okey, yang kedua SMDDD. SMDDD ni siapa Irfan?
Samad Puan.
Oh, Samad. Okey.
Samad.
Alhamdulillah Samad dah bangun ya. Okey, ni Izihan, hai cikgu, hai. Syakira, ni siapa yang bangun pagi tu saya tunjuklah sekejap ya. Selamat pagi cikgu Syakira. Okey, selamat pagi. Okey, Hadirah, Nurfa. Selamat pagi. Okey, lepas tu Azi Bakhtiar. Okey, selamat pagi. Apa nak morning mak menantu? Yalah. Okey, Sufian. Mana Sufian punya tak keluar pula. Oh, Sufian. Selamat pagi Puan. Okey, bagus Sufian. Bangun awal. Izzati, bagus. Alhamdulillah dah bangun awal. Okey. Morning cikgu. Okey, morning. Kina ni tak sabar nak kahwin ni. Menantu apa Kina. Sampai Kina. Okey, saya teruskan ya. Saya nak masuk untuk for presenting. Nanti kita sambung baca ya. Okey, untuk tajuk ni, that is actually saya just nak fokus to the, kejap ya, keluar pula nama si Kinah ni kan menantu pula. Okay. This topic actually for revision. Saya dah ajar for the kuliah, lecture during the lecture, but now today just for revision for you to understand cost flow for job order costing. So saya nak display my PowerPoint. Tak tahulah pagi ni dia meragam sikit. Okay. Tengok ayat ya. Okay, kejap. Share kejap ya, share. Share screen. Okay. Irfan, nampak tak?
Nampak? Ada?
Okay. Dia kadang-kadang ni PowerPoint ni dia sikit merajuk dia sekejap, dah lama tak guna. Dia kena guna setiap hari. Kalau dia guna setiap hari baru dia okay. Okay, now this topic job order costing. So you must know you have to prepare the table ataupun for job for each customer. Okay, definition. Costs are assigned to each job or to each batch of goods to fulfill a specific customer's order. So that means one job represent for one customer. For example, wedding invitation, wedding card. So one customer represent one wedding card, invitation card lah. Tak boleh share sebab perkahwinan dia berbeza kan. Each job has its own distinguishing character. Berbeza, karakteristik dia berbeza. So each wedding card is different from another customer. And the objective is to calculate the cost per job. Example are wedding, invitation card and furniture. Okay, furniture tu you have a specific furniture. For example, thick wood furniture. Okay, the objective is to calculate cost per job. That means one job, one cost. So the formula for cost per job is total cost divided by units that we produce for one customer. Okay, and measure cost for each job complete. Okay, after completing the job, we must calculate for job or job cost per job. Total cost lah. They mean total cost for job and the cost per job. Okay, this is the illustration for job order cost flow. Okay, you can see direct material, they are using the same or different direct material but from the same company, direct labor and overhead. And there are three jobs based on the customer's order, based on the customer's specification. So job 101 represent for one customer, job 102 represent for the second customer, and job 103 represent for the third customer. So after that, we produce, this is work in process inventory that incurred in the department, manufacturing department. So after completing the job, so we have to transfer to the finished goods department. And we have to open finished goods inventory, debit side, and this one should be credit side. After that, we must sell the finished goods. So we have to open cost of goods sold and sales account. So this is the job order cost flow. So the main point is we have to calculate the cost per one job or total cost per unit. Okay, this is the illustration for job order cost flow. So when you want to produce the vehicle, so we need raw material, factory labor, and manufacturing overhead. And then we have to assign to work in process. Work in process inventory, that means we are producing vehicle in the manufacturing department. So we are using the applied overhead. After we are processing or assigned to work in process inventory or producing a work in process to produce the complete goods. So we have to transfer the finished good to the next department, normally finished good department. And we have to open finished good inventory to record the finished good for vehicle. Depends on the customer's order. After that, we have to sell the finished good because that job has complete and we have to sell to the customer. And we have to record in cost of goods sold. And normally, we want to get the profit, we must calculate the sales. Normally, we have to mark up the amount from cost of goods sold. So this is the job order cost flow. Okay, before you prepare the table, this is the step that you have to follow. Number one, normally we have to calculate predetermined overhead rate. Okay, this one, because we are using the applied overhead, we cannot wait for the actual because we have to calculate job order, job costing after completing the job. That's why we have to use predetermined overhead. Number two, we have to calculate applied overhead for each job. The formula is predetermined overhead rate multiplied by actual basis. Number 3, we have to calculate total job for each total cost for each job. Number 4, we have to calculate cost per unit. Okay, this one cost per unit. Total cost divided by unit complete for each job. Number 5, we have to prepare the related journal entries to record the transaction starting from the manufacturing until the finished good and cost of goods sold and also sales. And we have to calculate over applied or under applied. We have to compare applied overhead with actual overhead. So we can get over applied and under applied. Number 7, we have to prepare the adjustment journal entry for applied overhead. So this one refer to number 6. And sometimes we have to prepare work in process inventory account, and sometimes we have to prepare finished goods inventory account. We have to prepare cost of goods sold, and we have to prepare sales account. Okay, this is the question. Jelita Company Limited manufactures T-shirt according to customer specification. The company use job order costing system. Okay, this one we are using job order costing system. That means we are using normal costing. And the overhead is applied based on the machine hours. Okay, we have to calculate based on the machine hours. So this one predetermined overhead. When you want to calculate predetermined overhead, we must use machine hours. As at early of January 2020, there is no initial balance for accounts work in process and accounts for finished good. Okay, there is no balance brought forward for work in process account and also no brought forward for finished goods account. Okay, this is the estimated factory overhead. So you are given machine hours 4,700 hours. Okay, we need this amount because we want to calculate predetermined overhead. The formula is estimated MO divided estimated activity basis. Okay, direct labor hours 1,200 hours and manufacturing overhead cost. Okay, this one RM 23,500. This one represent for estimated factory overhead. So we just need estimated manufacturing overhead cost divided by estimated machine hours to get predetermined overhead. Okay, this is the actual data. Okay, we know that. How do you know that that one is actual data? Because there are 3 jobs carried out in January 2020. So it gives you the date. So this one represent for actual data. Okay, given job 1, job 2, job 3. So this one is actual direct material cost for job 1, job 2, and job 3. Number 2, this one represent for actual direct labor cost. This one actual direct labor hours. And this one represent for actual machine hours. Okay, for actual machine hours, we need this amount for job 1, 450, for job 2, 400, and for job 3, 950 because we want to calculate applied overhead. So the formula is POR multiplied by actual machine hours. And this is the unit that we have to produce for job 1, that is 250, for job 2, 200, and for job 3, 500. Okay, this amount, we need this amount when we want to calculate the cost per unit ataupun job cost per unit. Okay, based on this amount, Okay, the actual manufacturing overhead costs that have been incurred throughout January 2020 are RM 8,000. Okay, this is actual manufacturing overhead. We need this amount because we want to compare the actual manufacturing overhead with applied overhead. So we can find out whether over or under applied. Okay, at the end of January 2020, all jobs have been complete. Actually, have been complete. Job 1 and job 2 work have been sold. So this one, job 1 and job 2 have been sold, and job 3 still in the store, in the finished good store. Okay, every order is sold at 60% more than the cost. So we have to calculate the sales based on cost of goods sold, increment 60%. So we know that job 1, job 2, job 3 had been complete, and only job 1 and job 2 had been sold. So we have to prepare the table for job 1, job 2, job 3 to show the total cost. Okay, this is the actual manufacturing overhead cost just now mentioned in the question 8,000, and this is the item. The item is indirect material 2,500, indirect labor RM 3,500, depreciation for machine 1,200, and insurance prepaid. So this is the amount that we have to calculate. Actually, this total 2,500 plus 3,500 plus 1,200 and 800. The total is 8,000. And we have to prepare the journal entry for actual manufacturing overhead and debit manufacturing overhead, and this amount should be credited. Okay, I will show you later. Okay, you are required to calculate predetermined overhead rate for 2020. Okay, normally we have to calculate predetermined overhead rate before the the before the period, or for the beginning of the year 2020. Okay, after that you have to calculate applied overhead for each job. So there are 3 jobs we have to calculate for: job 1, job 2, and job 3. And then we have to calculate total cost for each job. And we have to prepare related journal entries based on the these 3 jobs. Number 5, we have to calculate over applied and under applied. Number 6, prepare adjustment journal entry for over and or under applied overhead. Number 7, we have to prepare work in process inventory account. And number 8, prepare finished good inventory account. Okay, this is the step for job order costing flow. We must start from predetermined. After that, we have to calculate applied overhead, and then we have to prepare the table or the schedule for job 1, job 2, and job 3. Okay, this is the answer for predetermined overhead. You must remember the formula is estimated manufacturing overhead divided by estimated machine hours. And you get the answer RM5 per machine hours. And then we have to apply this predetermined overhead for every job. So this is the answer for applied overhead RM5 multiplied by actual machine hours. So you just refer to the question 450. You got the answer RM 2,250. Job 2 predetermined overhead 5 RM5 times 400 represent for actual machine hours, and you got the applied overhead for job 2 is RM 2000 and job 3 RM5 times 950 equals to RM 4750, and the total applied overhead for 3 jobs are RM 9000. We need this amount for total applied overhead to compare with actual overhead, and you get the answer either over or under applied. Okay, this is the schedule or the table for job 1, job 2, and job 3. So, based on the data or based on the actual data given in the question, you just write down direct material. Okay, this one represent for actual direct material, actual direct labor given in the question. So you just write down for the number and for the figure for every job. Okay, just this one applied overhead we have calculated just now for job 1, job 2, and job 3. And you got the total, that one we call job cost for job 1. So you have to add direct material plus direct labor and add applied overhead, and you got the amount for job 1 or job cost for job 1 is RM 7250, and you have to do the same step. You calculate for job 2, and the total for job 2 is RM 6000, and you still have to do the same step. Calculate for job 3, the total is RM 13,850. So from the question given, it gives that job 1, job 2, and job 3 have been complete. So there is no balance in the work in process account. And in the question given, job 1 and job 2 complete and sold. So we have to prepare the journal entry for these two jobs for COGS and sales account. Okay, this one we have to record for the total direct material. This amount represent for one transaction or journal entry. So we have to assign this amount into work in process account. We have to assign this amount to the manufacturing department. Okay, direct labor, this is the total direct labor, and this represent for one journal entry or one transaction, and we must allocate this amount to work in process. Okay, this one also applied overhead, this total we must assign to work in process account, and this total represent for finished good, because these three jobs, job 1, job 2, job 3 had complete. So this one we have to record in the journal entry. And for job 1 and job 2, when you want to sell this job, we must record in cost of goods sold and also in sales account. So this table represent for journal. It relates to journal entry, and also it relates to the account, which is work in process account, finished goods account, cost of goods account, and also sales account. Okay, you are required to calculate cost product per unit. The formula is production cost for each job divided by production units for each job. So for example, job 1, This is the total for job 1. Production cost 7,250 divided by production unit for job 1. So the answer is RM29 per unit. And this is job 2. Production cost divided by unit production for job 2, and you get for job 2 cost per unit is RM30 per unit. And we have to do the same thing for job 3. Production cost for job 3 divided by unit that we have complete for job 3. So you got for production cost per unit for job 3 is RM27 and 70 cents per unit. So we have to calculate separately for each job. And this is the journal entry. Okay, based on the schedule just now we have prepared or the table, we have to record direct material cost that is used in manufacturing. So debit work in process inventory, credit raw materials inventory. So this is the amount for direct materials for job 1, job 2, and job 3. Okay, the second one, we have to record direct labor cost that is used in manufacturing for job 1, job 2, and job 3. We just take the total for these 3 jobs. So debit work in process inventory and credit salaries payable. And the narration is to record direct labor cost that is used in manufacturing. Okay, this is the second transaction. Okay, the third one, we have to record applied manufacturing overhead in manufacturing. So this is the applied overhead for 3 jobs that we have prepared the table just now. Job 1, job 2, and job 3. So debit work in process inventory 9,000 and credit manufacturing overhead 9,000. So you must know this journal represent for applied manufacturing overhead. So the narration is to record. Narration means explain. Explanation is to record applied manufacturing overhead in manufacturing. Okay, the fourth one, we have to record actual manufacturing overhead. So this total 8,000 represent for actual manufacturing overhead. So in this manufacturing overhead, it consists of indirect material, indirect labor, but we cannot write down indirect material for the account. Okay, it also consists of depreciation for machine and also insurance. So that one represent for one account. That one we call manufacturing overhead. So there are 4 items in manufacturing overhead. So the credit side, just now, the first one, indirect material. So we must record in the credit side. So we are using raw materials inventory account. So this one represent for indirect material. Just now the first item. The second item, indirect labor. So we must record in the credit side salaries payable 3,500. The third one just now, the expenses is depreciation. So represent by manufacturing overhead, debit depreciation, and the credit side we should record as accumulated depreciation 1,200. And the last one, debit insurance expenses or manufacturing overhead. This one represent for one account. Okay, so Credit prepaid insurance 800. So you must know actual overhead for manufacturing overhead for 8,000 consists of these four items. So this one represent for credit side and the debit side just now represent for indirect material, indirect labor, depreciation, and insurance expenses. Okay, this one from the question given, job 1, job 2, and job 3 had complete. So we must record debit finished goods inventory 27,100 and credit work in process inventory. So we must transfer work in process inventory to the finished goods department. So the narration to record finished goods. Okay, the next one in the question, job 1 and job 2 had been sold to the customer, to the related customer. Each job represent for one customer. So there are two jobs, so that means it represents two customers. So we have to record uh, cost of goods sold. So debit cost of goods sold. So this is the total for job 1 and job 2. We must refer to the table. Okay, job 1 and job 2. So you get this answer. Credit finished goods inventory. So the narration to record cost of goods sold. So where did you get this data? From the table 7,250 plus 6,000 and you get the amount RM 13,250. And the next journal, next step or next transaction record sales of finished good. Given in the question, sale is calculated based on 160% from cost of goods sold. So when you calculate for sale, then you got the amount RM 21,200. So debit account receivable or cash 21,200 credit sales. So the narration to record sales of finished goods. So you can see the difference between cost of goods sold. So this item represent for job 1 and job 2. And this one for sale, we must increase the amount from cost of goods to get profit. So the difference between this amount, sales and cost of goods sold, that one represent for profit. So you still remember sale less cost of goods sold, that one is gross profit. Okay, now we have to calculate over applied or under applied overhead. So given in the question, actual overhead is RM 8,000 and applied overhead for 3 jobs, the total is RM 9,000. So the difference for these two amounts we call over applied overhead RM 1,000. It means that applied overhead is greater than actual overhead and we have to make an adjustment to ensure that applied overhead must equal to actual overhead. So the adjustment is we have to credit cost of goods sold 1,000 and debit manufacturing overhead. Okay, kita start debit MO manufacturing overhead 1,000 and credit cost of goods sold 1,000. So the narration to record adjustment for over applied overhead. So we need to make an adjustment to ensure that actual equals to applied overhead. Okay, now we have to prepare for work in process account. Okay, this amount represent for total raw material ataupun total direct material for job 1, job 2 and job 3. We must refer to the table just now we have done. Okay, this one represent for actual direct labor for job 1, job 2 and job 3. So we just write down for the account that one we call salaries payable. So salaries payable record in work in process inventory in the debit side, and this one represent for applied overhead. So debit work in process inventory, credit manufacturing overhead. So this amount, you can get this amount from the table that we have done, or you can refer this amount from the journal that you have done before. And in the question, all jobs, job 1, job 2, and job 3 had complete. So we must transfer these 3 jobs to the finished good inventory. So the double entry system is debit finished good inventory and credit work in process inventory. So you can see the debit side equals to the credit side. So this item you can refer to the journal entry and also you can refer to the table that you have done before. Okay, this is finished goods inventory. Okay, so record in the debit side 27,100. So debit finished good inventory, credit work in process inventory. And we find out that job 1 and job 2 complete. So we must calculate cost of goods sold. So this amount represent for job 1 and job 2. We must sell this job. And for this balance, it represent for job 3, still in the finished good. Okay, you can see the debit side 27,100 equal to the credit side 27,100. Okay, so finish already for just now. Finish for job 1, job 2 and job 3. Now we go to the next subtopic, job cost sheet, or sometimes we call job order cost sheet. Okay, this is a form used to record the cost chargeable to the specific jobs and to determine the total and unit cost of the complete job. Okay, in this sheet, you must record for direct material, direct labor, and applied overhead. And one job represent for one job cost sheet represent for one job or for one customer or for one batch. Okay, constitute subsidiary ledger for work in process account. So we have to record in work in process account. So this one, job cost sheet just to record the details of direct material, direct labor, and applied overhead. Okay, and each entry to work in process inventory must be accompanied by a corresponding posting to one or more job cost sheet. So it means that one job cost sheet represents for one customer or one job. Okay, normally we must record in job order cost sheet the name of customer, and every customer they have their own job number, and you should record the date request or the date started, when you want to start to prepare for the product. Okay, this is the date complete or the date finish, or we have complete that product. The number of item, we have to write down the number of item, quantity produced. No, this one is the item. What types of item? This one is the quantity. This is the number of item. Details of direct materials. Maybe we are using more than one direct materials. So this one details of direct labor, applied overhead. So you must know the predetermined overhead, and they have their basis, and we have to follow which basis you want to use. Calculate total product cost and calculate product cost per unit. So total product cost represent for one job. And this one you want to calculate cost per unit. How many units that you have produced, and you want to calculate the cost price. Okay, this is the example for job cost sheet or job order cost sheet. So this is the number, the quantity of the complete product, the item, what item that you are going to produce, date request or date started, date complete. Okay, this is the details of direct material. Maybe you are using more than one direct material. This one the details for direct labor, and this one we are using applied overhead, predetermined overhead times actual basis. So which basis that we are using to use? Either direct material, direct labor cost, or direct labor hours. Okay, after that you have to prepare the cost, total cost for each job, and you have to calculate cost per unit for one job. Okay, look at the example for this job. Okay, you can see Selesa Sdn Bhd use a job order costing and applied overhead to produce cabinet from wood. So on 30th December 2020, SSB received 20 units. Okay, this is the quantity. So you just highlight this one, quantity for the product that have been ordered from Dapur Cik Yang. So this is the customer, one customer. Okay, this is the job number, OD123. So we have already the quantity, the name of customer, and the job number. And we have to start to produce this product at 1st January 2020. So this is the date of started ataupun the dates of commence. Oh, boleh juga eh. Okay, this is the details about direct labor. There are three types of direct labor. The first rate is RM10 per hour. The second labor RM20 per hour, and the third labor RM17 ringgit and 50 cent per hour. So this is the different rate with the different direct labor hour. And this is the detail for direct material. The first one, we are using nyatoh wood, and another one meranti, and the price is RM 150 per meter. And the second direct material RM 120 per meter. So this is the total for direct labor cost, and this one is the total for direct material cost. So continue from the previous data. SSB applied manufacturing overhead to jobs on direct labor costs. So this company chose the basis for direct labor cost, and the budgeted overhead costs are RM 47,360. So this is the budgeted MO, and this is the budgeted direct labor cost. We need this amount to calculate predetermined overhead. Okay, we must calculate predetermined overhead based on budgeted MO and budgeted direct labor cost. On 15 January 2021, job order OD123 has been complete. So this is the date of complete and assigned to Dapo Cik Yam Enterprise on 20th January. So we assign to the customer, and the customer's name is Dapo Cik Yam Enterprise. So this is the date of complete, and this data we must calculate predetermined overhead. So you are required to prepare the job order cost sheet for job OT 123. Okay, this is the related data that you must record in job cost sheet. The first one, job number. And number two, the quantity for finished product. So 20 units. We need this amount because we want to calculate cost per unit. This amount we need because we want to calculate job order per unit. Okay, this one, what types of product? Wooden cabinet. And this is the name of customer. And this is the date request or date started 1st January 2021. And this is the date of complete. After completing this product, we must calculate the cost of complete job, or we call job cost. And you can see this is the detail of direct materials. We are using two types of direct material. A115, the amount is 37,500, and the second one 12,000, and this amount represent for direct material cost. We need this amount to calculate job cost. So we must transfer this amount to this list, 49,500. This one is direct material cost. And direct labor, there are three types of direct labor and different rates. After calculate, and you got the amount for direct labor cost RM 600. So we must record this amount and transfer to the cost of complete job, 600. And the last column, this is the detail about applied overhead. And we have to calculate the formula we have to calculate predetermined overhead. So the formula is estimated MO divided by actual basis. So you get the answer 185%. So this is the actual direct labor cost. So we take this amount, actual direct labor cost, multiply by predetermined overhead 185%, and you got applied overhead 1,110. So this, you just transfer this amount. So this is the detail for this job. That one we call job OD123. So the direct material 49,500. Just now we have calculate, and this is direct labor, actual direct labor 600. We have calculate just now, and this one is applied overhead, and we have calculate the amount predetermined overhead multiplied by actual direct labor cost. And this is the total cost for this job, or sometimes we call job cost. 51,210. At this amount, we are producing 20 units. So cost, total cost divided by unit production. So 51,210 divided by 20 unit, and product cost per unit is RM 2,560.50 cents. So it represents product for product cost per unit. So it means that one wooden cabinet, the cost is RM 2,560 ringgit and 50 cents. This represent for one unit. So that's all for job cost sheet. Irfan, are you stay with me?
Yes, Puan.
Okay, habis. So habis this topic, and hopefully semua faham ya, especially the flow cost for product for job order costing. Okey, kita sambung tengok apa dia yang tulis tadi ya. Saya sampai mana tadi ya? Ibdina, Assalamualaikum. Puan, okey, Waalaikumsalam. Dina, Husna, Assalamualaikum Cikgu Yati. Okey, Waalaikumsalam. Adriana, selamat pagi Cikgu. Okey, selamat pagi. Ni apa ni ya? Ahmad Sufian. Ni saya macam dah baca je tadi kan? Dah baca je tadi? Dah
Dah
baca.
Puan tadi. Dah.
Kejap saya pergi bawah. Ini SWSF ni apa? Morning Cikgu. Morning. Ni dah sudah. Okey, Fatihah. Morning Cikgu. Morning. Ni kena baca dia orang ni sebab dia nak bangun pagi kan. Okey, Alicia. Pagi Cikgu. Pagi. Saya sikit lagi. Farah. Morning Cikgu. Okey. Aziz. Assalamualaikum. Okey, Waalaikumsalam. Aziz. Okey, Muzakir. Selamat pagi Cikgu. Okey, selamat pagi. Ini Izzati ni berapa kali dah ni? Mana ni? Semua anak student. Mana saya tak baca. Okey, sampai sini. Ini dah baca belum ni? Zulai. Nurina belum. Selamat pagi. Good morning. 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 Ifah dah makan tu? Sekejap ya. Ni. Morning. Morning. Ni saya nak tunjuk dia orang dah bangun. Assalamualaikum Cikgu Afika. Okey, Assalamualaikum. Morning. Okey, morning ni. POR RM5. Ya, RM5. Dah kira. Okey, habis. Banyak lagi. Dah lah kan? Okey. Rasa sebenarnya ni last one. Okey, faham. Okey, saya rasa itu saja. So make sure you try to do past year question for this topic and hopefully you understand. So kita jumpa lagi next week dalam kelas face to face. Okey. Okey, Irfan, penutup. Menutup doa.
Penutup doa Boleh?
Okey.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahul azim.
Okey, sedap suara. Okey, kita sampai sini saja. Kita jumpa lagi. Okey, bye semua. Bye.